Hello everybody, it's me Boldie, so let's talk episode 8 because there were things to complain about and things to be happy about as well. So spoiler alert for everyone who is not up to date with Game of Thrones, so let's get into it. So let's start with the Hound and we leave Arya's storyline for the end. So the Hound goes after the members of the Brotherhood who killed all those people and completely destroys them. I think we all asked ourselves if the other two guys also took part in the killing of those people, but I guess we just have to assume they did. Although they didn't really seem too evil, they seem like novices, the young boys who are the subjects of mocking by the older, more experienced members. And again, I was happy to see that we really did get Sandor back, not some very transformed version of himself. Actually, he seemed more badass than ever, he completely destroyed those guys. Anyway, the Hound did meet the good guys from the Brotherhood, we even got Beric Dondarrion, but I didn't see Anguy anywhere. Maybe we will get to see him in the next episodes. I think we are all relieved to see that the Brotherhood is pretty much still the same and they don't want to take any part in hurting the weak. To the contrary, actually. Clegane, the fuck you doing here? Chasing them, you? Hanging them.
Yeah, Boldie, we watched the fucking show.
Huh? Leave me alone, goddammit. God. I mentioned this kid in the Arya theory video and she's been hunting me ever since. Anyway. It seemed like things are about to heat up when the Hound said, "They're mine," and fuck your name, but I think Beric handled the situation well and ultimately gave the Hound the option to hang two of them, and so he did. At one point, Sandor responded with, "Not anymore," when Thoros asked him sarcastically, "You have friends?" But that just lets us hope that Sandor's new friends will be those guys, the Brotherhood. Still, it was so funny watching them decide who gets who and how they kill them. You know what that reminded me of? Of Dragon Ball Z, when for example Goku and Vegeta, or any other Saiyans, were fighting over who gets to fight first. I know that makes no sense for those who haven't watched Dragon Ball Z. Anyway, I think the new line for Clegane should now be, "I will have to steal every fucking boot in this room."
Stop it.
Oh, okay. So they all sit down and Beric and Thoros try to convince the Hound to join them, which I'm so happy about. We hear the same line we keep hearing when the Hound is in the room. For a reason. We're here for a reason, you're here for a reason. So now that Clegane Ball was basically taken away from us when Tom and banned trial by combat later in this episode, I can only go back to my previous theory that Clegane will play a role in the war against the White Walkers. Of course, Clegane Ball shouldn't completely be ruled out. It's not necessary for Clegane Ball to happen in a trial by combat, although we can safely assume that we won't see any sort of Clegane Ball this season. So in the next scene, while the Hound was peeing, Beric said, "Cold winds are rising in the north," and Sandor responded with, "And you're going to stop them." So what should we make of that? Beric knows something about the White Walkers, and Sandor didn't even ask what are you talking about, he just said, "And you're going to stop them," as if he knew something. Or maybe he really didn't care what Beric meant by that. We need some clarification on that. Then Beric asked Sandor how did it work for him turning away from fighting, obviously implying that it didn't go well and it's no way of living. At least yet. And later, when Beric said good and bad, young and old, the things we're fighting will destroy them all alike, I think we should take it as a confirmation that Beric knows something about the White Walkers. What else could he be talking about, especially after the first line with the cold winds in the north? And this expression that we see on Sandor seems like Beric caught his attention. So does the Hound have any idea about the White Walkers? Maybe he heard the legends and he connected what Beric said with them, and now he starts to believe Beric. We shall see. I just hope we get to see if the Hound finds out about them, not like the time we never got to see how Sansa took it when she found out about Jon's resurrection. Whooshu! Let's move to King's Landing, where the Faith militants have been permitted to enter the Red Keep. When Cercei asked Qyburn who permitted them to enter, Qyburn didn't say anything, so it most likely was Tommen, who is in his chambers at prayer. Tommen is not evil, but he is a freaking softie, way too soft and weak-minded for a king. He's been manipulated by both sides who are both wicked. On one side we have Cercei, who is becoming more and more mad, and on the other side we have religious fanatics. It's hard to find someone to root for in King's Landing. It seems like this episode destroyed one fan theory after another, even Arya Fight Club, which I'm going to talk about at the end. Anyway, Cersei's cousin, Lancel, tells Cercei that the High Septon commands her to go speak with him at the Great Sept of Baelor. Cercei chooses violence and Robert Strong delivers. He didn't move a freaking muscle when that guy put his weapon through his armor. This guy is a freaking monster. To be honest, I don't know how Sandor would stand a chance against this one, but maybe we'll never find out. After he lifts one of the fanatics up in the air with one hand, he then removes his head from his body like it was a jar of pickles. So ladies, ever wanted a man who could open a jar super easily? There you have it. And look at this shot with Cercei. She's watching someone's head being removed from his body and it's like a puppet show for her. She is clearly going crazier and crazier. So then Cercei goes to the Great Hall, where it appears to be a royal announcement, and she wasn't invited. We saw also that the scene in the trailer where it looked like Cercei and Zombie Mountain were walking towards Tommen and his guards were two scenes put together to confuse us. But nonetheless, the resolution of that whole scene was somewhat similar. Tommen basically chose again for the High Septon and against Cercei. And Maester Pycelle is whispering things to Tommen, and let's not forget he's not the old fart he appears to be. This is only a character he puts on. We saw that in a scene or a deleted scene, I'm not sure, when he was talking with Tywin. Basically Pycelle tries to be on the side that is more likely to win because all he cares about is to be safe. Then we hear Tommen's speech, but really all we heard was trial by combat will be forbidden. Clegane Bowl unhype, I guess? It's obvious that the High Septon did this because they can't find any champion who will be able to defeat Zombie Mountain. Impressive really how far the High Septon has come, but I can't see him making it until the end of this season. I think Cercei will have one last win before her real downfall. How will she gain that win, you ask? Well, we can only speculate, but given that rumor that we hear Qyburn and Cercei talk about, which seems to be much more than a rumor, and given the smirk on Cercei's face and the fact that Qyburn is effing crazy, it could be wildfire. Qyburn's little birds might have found out about a big amount of wildfire hidden somewhere. If that is true, then we can assume this is the way Cercei will take out the Faith. It was so much talk about fire in this season, especially with Bran's flashbacks of the Mad King, and even what Jaime said in the last episode about burning cities to ash. So this is the most probable outcome in my opinion. But there are other possibilities because we see them still staring at the door that Tommen just went through. So maybe that rumor is related to him. Maybe the little birds found out something about Kevin and Pycelle. Something like they planned all this for Tommen, along with the Faith. And that might explain why we see Qyburn's little birds in the trailer killing someone. Maybe that's Pycelle or Kevin. But we shall see. The showrunners proved us that no matter what's more realistic or probable, they'll do what they want regardless of how sloppy they make the stories sometimes. Like now with Arya. But again, that at the end. Whooshu! Hey, come back! Better. Now we have Podrick and Brienne arriving at Riverrun. Gwen Christie, who plays Brienne, did an amazing job again and really made this episode better. Anyway, Bronn did just play with Podrick, but he doesn't go easy on him. Bronn is that friend who always makes you feel uncomfortable with his jokes. You think they're fucking? So Bronn teaches Pod how to fight and win in the real world, not by fighting honorably and fairly, but fighting only to win. So then we have Brienne and Jaime meeting again and they talk about Sansa. Jaime said that he didn't expect Sansa to be alive because in his experience, girls like her don't live very long. To be honest, Sansa still didn't learn too much, and I feel like she got lucky all this time, or plot armor. Even now, she thought she'd get a ton of support from the north in the war against the Boltons, and refused Littlefinger's support. Brienne and Jaime seem to have kept the same respect towards each other, and I think I know why. After the time they spent together, Brienne started to see the good man inside Jaime, not all these labels that have been given to him after killing the Mad King. After all, he did the right thing that day, many lives were saved because of his decision, and after hearing his story, Brienne started having this respect and compassion towards Jaime, and he didn't meet a lot of people who saw him like that. His brother also didn't shove the Kingslayer label in his face, and they had a good relationship. So he kinda saw the good part of Jaime when he was with his brother and when he was with Brienne. The question is, will he go all the way for Cercei? Or if she goes mad, maybe Jaime will change and will do the right thing. I hope the second option. Anyway, Brienne told Jaime what we all expected. She wants to persuade the Blackfish to surrender the castle, at least for now, and help Sansa in the war against the Boltons. Jaime accepts her request and so Brienne goes and talks to Brynden. But seems like Jaime was right, the Blackfish is too stubborn and won't leave his ancestral home. I was just disappointed that Brienne didn't tell him something like, hey listen, just surrender the castle for now, and let's do this one step at a time. Help Sansa take back Winterfell, and after that when the time is right, we're going to take back Riverrun as well. After all, Brienne didn't promise Jaime anything about that. But anyway, the Blackfish finally reads Sansa's letter and he said something like she's just like her mother, and maybe we can assume that Sansa will take more of Lady Stoneheart's storyline and get some revenge. And as I expected, the Blackfish did die. When I heard him say, I was born in this castle and I am ready to die in it, I was 99% certain that he will fight and die.
Stop bragging.
Oh, okay. And Jaime did use Edmure to take back the castle, and he threatened him that if he doesn't accept, he'll catapult his baby into the castle, which is something taken from the books. I was kinda expecting that because in the previous episode, Jaime told the phrase, have him bathed and fed, and it was clear that he has a plan with Edmure. We also hear Jaime say this, Catelyn and Cercei, they do anything to protect their babies. Start a war, burn cities to ash, so oh well. Foreshadowing that Cercei will do some burny? I think so. So the Tullys lower the gates and drop their weapons at Edmure's commands without listening to Brynden. Brynden died fighting, but we never got to see the fight for some reason. The final scene was really touching as well. Jaime spotted Brienne and Podrick escaping, and you can see him turning his head only for a moment, almost as if he wants to tell his guards that they are escaping. After all, that would be the normal thing to do, but he didn't. He just waved. Brienne understood that he left them escape as well. It was a beautiful scene. I don't know if it's goodbye forever though, I hope not. Whooshu! In Meereen, the Red Priests continue to talk up Dany to the people since they think she is Azor Ahai, and Varys still doubts Tyrion's decision to make a pact with the slavers, and with good reasons. But then Tyrion said, spoken like a man who has never had to shave, which reminded me of a theory that Varys is a Targaryen, and he shaves his head so nobody sees his silver hair. It's a pretty awesome theory, maybe I will make a video about this in the future. But then, Varys lives in a mission and I don't know what mission that is. Maybe something he did in the book A Dance with Dragons, which I am not going to spoil here. But other than that, it's a mystery. It was an emotional scene, seems like a lot of characters are saying their goodbyes to other characters in this episode. Brienne and Jamie, Varys and Tyrion, Arya and Jaqen at the end. Anyway, then we see Tyrion trying to get Melisandre and Grey Worm drunk, and it was such a hard scene to watch. It was so awkward when they started making jokes. It was cute but damn awkward. Then we hear Tyrion talk about how he'd like to have his own vineyard, and it was touching for me. I think Tyrion will make it to the end of the series and survive the battle against the White Walkers. But let's hope Dave and Dan won't continue to devalue the complexity of his character, because so far in season 6, they transformed Tyrion from this sometimes goofy but oftentimes serious and manipulative and intelligent man into a 99% goof and 1% master manipulator or negotiator or whatever. This is a bit exaggerated, but still I think my point is valid. I hope they won't devalue the character's complexity now that they are past the books and Dave and Dan do most of the writing. I am saying this because Tyrion did screw up making a pact with the slavers, and at the end he was like a little boy who screwed things up, which is not the Tyrion we know. Then the masters come for their property and attacked. The first thing I thought was, hey look, a lot of ships. Dany needs ships. It would be pretty cool if she comes back and she finds a way to stop the Master's army without destroying all the ships. So Dany does come back and she does not look happy. As Emilia Clarke said, she was like this mother who left the kids home alone and told them to keep things the way they are at least, until she comes back. But they made a total mess. And this is not the Tyrion that we know, but I still hope they will fix things in later episodes and seasons. Maybe now will be a good time for Yara and Theon to come in and save the day with their ships, and that way they will win Dany's trust. Because again, I don't see how, even if Euron makes it to Dany, I don't see how she'll ever accept him. There is no way. Whooshu, let's move to Braavos, and as you may be expected, this will be a bit of a rant, but not entirely. We start with Lady Crane performing as Cercei again, and we see that she took Arya's advice. In the previous episode, Arya told Lady Crane that Cercei won't just be sad because her son was killed, she would seek revenge, she would be angry. After her party's over, she goes inside and surprise surprise, she finds Arya. All the internet tried to find an explanation for what happened. So many cool theories were proposed, when in fact, nothing really happened. Don't get me wrong, I love when the show surprises me, but at least surprise me with something at least as good as the fan theories. So everything that we saw in the previous episode, Arya using her right hand and walking so carelessly and having different clothes and a different haircut, was all just bad writing. Or was it? I think the show did all that on purpose to start a conversation between us, the fans, on what's going on, just to make it seem more interesting than it actually is. The only thing we can do now for everything to make sense is to assume that Arya did plan to make Wave find her, which of course is really hard to believe, but how in 7 hells was she so careless after we saw her so cautious at the end of episode 6? What exactly changed all that and caused all that weird behavior? Anyway, Lady Crane patched her up, and after a good night's sleep she was all almost as good as new, and I think we all smelled the death of Lady Crane in this scene. I am not too mad about the fact that Arya was able to parkour the very next day, at least her wound opened again while running away from Wave. Anyway, at least I was right about the fact that Arya will try to draw Wave wherever she put Needle and kill her there, which she did. I like how she did it, how she used her training while being blind against Wave. Wave seemed to take a lot of pleasure in hurting Arya while she was blind, and that flew right in her face in this episode. Now a lot of people complained that we didn't see Arya kill Wave, but well, it was pitch black there. Another thing to complain about is how Arya managed to get inside the House of Black and White without being noticed by anyone. Jaqen is this great assassin, how in the world can someone sneak inside the House of Black and White without him noticing? So anyway, I liked the idea that Jaqen was training Arya all along, and even him can't really be no one, and grew quite fond of Arya. This made me tear up a bit.
You little fat.
Go away! Jesus. As I was saying, this scene made me tear up, but there is another thing that made no sense whatsoever. Jaqen saying, finally a girl is no one. For what purpose did the writers put that in? Again for nothing and just lack of inspiration or what? Anyway, it was so great to see that Arya wants to go back to Westeros, and my faith in the reunion of the Brotherhood without banners with the Hound and Gendry and Arya grew higher in this episode. The Hound did meet the good guys from Brotherhood as I hoped, so that's a good start. So congratulations guys, you made it through all the wushes of the day. If you enjoyed this video, slap that like button really nice, it really likes it. And kick that subscribe button really good if you want to help this channel grow with you by its side. Until my next video, which will be the breakdown of the episode 9 preview, you can check out these other videos. Until the next time, stay safe, stay bold, stay awesome, bye bye.